This video is really something. Everybody knows how odious Fox News is to the national discourse, or, all reasonable people now understand that, given their long track record. Here they are. I don't even know what show this is. This seems like it's a nothing throwaway weekend show with a host. I don't know who it is. I don't even know who the guests are here, but look at how nonchalant this discourse is around a life and death issue. So this is, I think it's called a hit or miss segment. It's like, well, what are you happy about and what do you dislike? Look at what one of the commentators says.
A gratefulness to the state of California for giving us a showing of what the politics of trying to create a national healthcare system might look like, which is to say total failure. A bill introduced in California last week to replace private health care with a single-payer system hit a stone wall for lack of votes. Among the other things it would do would have raised taxes on anybody making more than $50,000 a year. So a big thank you to California one more time for giving us an idea of what simply does not work.
Here, Dan, but I fear that this thing will keep coming back.
Yeah, gee, I wonder why it'll keep coming back. It's almost like people need healthcare and they don't have it. Why did it not work? Notice, he didn't get into that. Why didn't the Medicare for All push work in California? Well, the answer is simple. Corruption. We covered it on this show. Crystal Ball did a phenomenal segment on not on Crystal Conference, on Breaking Point. She did a monologue on it where she goes into all the details and gives all the amount of money that people were bribed. And what happened is, a lot of the Democrats, including Gavin Newsom, they virtue signaled like, I'm in favor of single payer and I'm tired of people saying we can't do it. Then, push came to shove, we had the ability to do it. They didn't even allow it up for a vote. They didn't even get people on the record. Why? Because it would have showed who was bought off. And it turns out most of them were bought off, or at least enough of them were bought off to not even have the vote. And so they took money from all these different health insurance companies and affiliated groups. And so all the virtue signaling was nothing but a lie. And they know at the end of the day, I can't rock the boat too much. I can't piss off my donors too much. And so they tanked it on behalf of industry. So if this Fox News host was being honest, he'd go out there and say, I am with the rapacious mafia, parasitic health insurance industry who exists for no reason other than to price gouge people and skim money off the top and get their cut. Look, the way it works in single-payer countries is the reason it's called single payers, there is a single insurer, and that single insurer is the government, and there's no profit motive. So when you get sick, you get help, and it's paid for by your tax dollars. The way it works here is you need to go to an insurance company, pay the insurance company money every single month, and then when you need help, they say, well, maybe we'll pay for some of it, maybe we won't. But first you need to pay whatever your deductible is, $5,000 or whatever it is. So it's like you pay them every month, and when something happens, they're like, okay, cool, maybe we'll help you, but first you got to pay even more. What? What are you talking about here? So just be honest. You like the fact that the American people get ripped off. You enjoy it because you side with corporations over working people. This like, oh, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. What about every other developed country where it does work? What about the Commonwealth Fund study that had us ranked 11th out of 11 when it comes to developed countries and their healthcare systems? What about that? They play hide the ball. They can't even be honest and open and talk about the evidence and talk about the data and talk about the studies. This is nothing but rank propaganda. The guy is celebrating denying people healthcare. Well, you know what the result is of people being denied healthcare in the United States of America? There was a public citizen report that found that 33% of U.S. COVID deaths could have been avoided if we had universal health care. 33% died because of, quote, uninsurance. So they don't have health care, or they're what's called underinsured, and that made it so they were hesitant to go in because they're like, I don't want to go bankrupt. I don't want to have to pay out the ass for the sickness, so I'll try to ride it out. And then they die. About 330,000 people, because the real number of COVID deaths is over 1 million when you include the excess deaths that were unaccounted for. 330,000 people dead. This guy's celebrating that California just axed a Medicare for All bill. See, this proves that the right-wing systems work better and capitalism works better. But none of the problems were addressed. None of the problems of people dying from not having insurance, people not having good enough insurance, people going bankrupt for medical bills, none of that was addressed. But you're just saying, see, it doesn't work because it didn't get through because of corruption. So you're just pro-corruption. Just say it. I'm pro-corruption, and I'm celebrating that people don't have health care. There's literally no connection to human lives and material well-being in this entire conversation. It's just flat-out partisan pro-capitalist drivel. Don't ever let anybody tell you that, Fox News is looking out for workers or Republicans are looking out for workers. Nonsense. Now, the difference is I tell the truth across the board. So when I tell you the Democrats aren't looking out for you either, and it was the Democrats who were corrupted in California, and that's the reason this thing got tanked, I'm being honest with you. Because I'll go after both parties. I'll go after whoever's doing the fucked up shit, and I'll give credit to whoever does the good shit. But there are plenty of people who think because the Democrats are so bad and CNN and MSNBC are so bad, therefore, maybe Fox News are the truth tellers. No, they are not. They are engaging in class war with segments like this, trying to propagandize people into believing it's a good thing when you deny people health care, acting like it's impossible or it's not feasible or whatever. None of that is true. You guys know it's not true. But if this maybe somebody first time watching this channel, watching this video, I'm trying to explain to them in no uncertain terms. Now you know. Now you know. Look at how horrendous these people are. I mean, look, you got to have the decency to at least not openly celebrate such a terrible moment in California politics. But he doesn't think it's terrible. He thinks it's wonderful. He thinks not having fewer people with healthcare is actually a good thing because he's an ideologue and he's a Kool-Aid drinker, committed right-winger and capitalist. Everything should be for profit, and there should be no commons, no basics for the people. Smug pricks, all of them. Smug pricks. Doing a tremendous amount of damage in the country. The number of people who've been brainwashed into thinking it's actually good for the government and corporations to screw you and keep you poor and without health care. The number of people who've been convinced that, it's scary. I mean, granted, look, there are plenty of polls that show the overwhelming majority of Americans support universal health care, but there's still a sizable chunk that doesn't. And that sizable chunk, they either work for the industry or they've been thoroughly propagandized by media like this. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.